Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Beyond This, the podcast that explores everything from life, spirit, and all those things in between. Welcome. If we haven't met before, my name is Matilda and I am a professional psychic medium based here in Australia. I have been doing what I do for over 20 years and really enjoy being able to help people make that connection with spirit, with the universe, or even just lean into their own intuition, empowering themselves and trusting themselves more. Today's episode is a little bit interesting. Last week, I had an amazing discussion with John Edward, who, for many of you know, has over 40 years working within this industry. And he's very, very passionate about it. One of the things he is very passionate about is enlightening people into how to look for the signs from their own loved ones. As he said in his own words, nobody wants to use a medium. Nobody wants to have to book a reading with a medium, and your loved ones who are in spirit want to go direct to you. So I am actually going to give you some different scenarios where your loved ones may be trying to get a message to you and dispel a couple of things, common questions that I get asked. I've also had a lot of emails from people who receive messages from their loved ones. And I want to read some of those out, and just so that people are a little bit more open. Often we think that they're going to stand in front of us, tap dance, bring us a cup of tea, and have a direct message. That isn't the case. They want you to know they're okay. They want you to know that they are with you, and they want you to know that there is a continuation of consciousness. And that is one of the most important things and messages that you can get. So we're going to be talking about that today. We're also going to be talking about current affairs. We've had the Australian election here, and we're also going to be talking about some predictions that I have seen coming up. So stay tuned for all of that. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for their amazing feedback, the love they showed John Edward for being on my podcast last week. And isn't it amazing that he has been front and center in this business for so long, and he is so loved. One of the biggest feedback I got was that he's missed on everyone's screens. So I do want to remind everyone that he does have Evolve TV Plus. The link to that is in my show notes from last week. So you can catch him there a lot. So remember that. But I know he's missed on TV, and he does have a really exciting book coming out, I believe, in September. And someone's going to come at me that I've got all these dates wrong. But I will try and fact check them before this goes to air. This weekend has been a little busy. I go on holidays tomorrow, so I'm recording on a Sunday evening, which I don't usually do. And I will edit whilst I am away. I'm off to sunny Queensland, which apparently isn't very sunny at the moment, but that's okay. And today is my birthday, so it's been a bit of a birthday weekend. Usually I allow my birthday to just pass by. We pretend that there has been no birthday. And I just remember at some point that I've aged a year. But this year was very, very special. I lost the whole of yesterday. If you know me, I've talked about this before. I am not a big fan of alcoholic beverages. I do joke that I'm a really good medium when I've had a couple of sherries, but I am not a fan of alcoholic beverages for no other reason. I'm not sober, but it's just not something that's ever floats my boat. Apart from sometimes during the summer, I like a champagne. Yeah, I'm bougie. I can't help it. Anyway, I went to brunch with a really good friend yesterday. And the idea was that I'm going to go to brunch, catch up with them, do a little bit of shopping that I need. I still needed to buy a camera bag. No, have I got that? And then I was going for drinks with some other friends in the evening. I was going to record my podcast yesterday. I was going to start packing, all of those things. I flew a little bit too close to the sun with a mimosa for breakfast with my brunch. Okay, it was 11 a.m. I had the best mimosa I have ever tasted in my life. It was champagne, pineapple, and cranberry juice. The problem was it was so nice that I ordered a second one. And my friend that was with me said, well, if you're having another one, I'm going to have a cocktail. And they had a Negroni. And then we were sat there talking so long, we ended up with another one, and I had to phone my child. This is how grown up I am. I had to phone one of my children to come and get me and then go back and collect my car later. And then I had drinks last night with some friends. And then today I had a family lunch, a beautiful family lunch with my kids and families. So that was lovely. So, yeah, my weekend has just flown by. I don't know what I was thinking, planning to go away, the day after my birthday. But I am supposed to be in Hawaii and I'm still getting over it. Anyway, going to do this podcast, record it, and I'll edit it whilst I'm away, preferably whilst I am sat in a cabana somewhere. So last week, I talked at length with John Edward, and I have talked about this on my Patreon. I've talked about it during readings with people, during my group events, my group readings, about the fact that your loved ones really do love when you notice the signs that they give you. There was a couple of questions about that on the podcast, and sort of in the questions from followers or people that have watched the podcast since. So what I want to say is, people will say, oh, but how do you know what loved one it is? And my response to that is, the signs will be specific according to your loved one. And it won't be like John explained. He was rediverted, traffic was bad, he was sent one way when he was supposed to go another way. And he saw the numbers that his mum had, her favourite numbers, and then he looked up and there was a street sign specific to an illness that she had. Because he had this banter with her that was, come on, you've got to do a bit better with that. I want you to remember that you and your loved ones have such a special connection. Love is eternal. Love never dies. That love that they have for you, irrespective of your relationship when they passed, is there. And they want to keep reminding you of it. If we look out for they're going to bring me a specific message about how I spent the money they left me, or they want to tell me that there's gold in the ceiling, you're going to miss out. You're concentrating too hard on what the message is, not that there is a message. If you remember that everything is energy, all the energy that needs to be used in order for them to get that message across to you, and you're not taking it for what it is and saying, thanks, Mum, thanks, Dad, thank you, Auntie Maud, thank you. But you're like, but what did they want to say? What is it they wanted to say to me? They want you to know they're there. They want you to pay attention to the fact that they're there. They want you to honor them. Keep talking to them. Keep telling them that you love them. Keep reminding them that you remember them. When you get tied up in the complexities, in the detail, you're going to miss the point. The fact that your loved ones are constantly putting these things in your pathway, and you are so obsessed with the what is it, what is it, what is it, what do they want to say, that means you're missing the actual message. I also want to say, for those people that are so deep in grief, those people that are so deep in the physical missing, it is a little bit harder. Sometimes we need to be a bit kinder to ourselves and remind ourselves that spirit is eternal, that your loved ones want what's best for you, that there is no suffering in the afterlife, that whatever ailed them, however they passed, that the spirit will live on. I often get asked about, but what if somebody is cremated? How do you connect with them? The physical body, our human existence, is what we leave behind. Our spirit that continues into the afterlife, that continuation of consciousness, that is what we connect with. That is what you connect with. Their spirit is what connects to you. They are tied, they are tethered to you. Like our animals, when they pass, they are tethered to you. Your loved ones. And this is another sign that you really need to be very careful about those mediums that you are watching and who you trust. Occasionally, a spirit will be so strong that they will give me those hints before I am tuned in. Before I have done my morning meditation, my getting ready for my readings, I have my own ritual, or rituals, I should say. And I have a clear, I don't want to connect with anybody until that moment. And sometimes there'll be a few that are impatient, shall we say. But all in all, your loved ones show up for you. They're not sat here lined up in my office waiting for their turn or waiting for you to show up. They come with you. So they are always around you and wanting you to notice that. And they will do things to get your attention. I've talked about hearing my mother's first and second name on a audiobook. Same day, my shopping bags fell off the hook, and I'm pretty sure it was her as well. But I know that all of you who have lost people will be getting messages on a regular basis. So I'm going to read out some of the emails that I received, which I love. I love getting these stories. And I think that it's going to be quite eye-opening for many of you to hear these stories and be able to be a little bit more on the lookout for some of the signs that your loved ones are trying to get your attention. This lovely one is from Julie, and Julie says that she likes to ask her dad for very specific signs, and he always comes through. My dad was a pilot and flew Pan Am. They closed operations decades ago, and I honestly never see Pan Am anything around. So I thought it would be good to ask him to see it as a sign. And then I just let go. My husband has recently taken up hiking around the community, and he came to me and asked me if I wanted to go with him. This is the first time he's ever invited me along, and it sounded fun. So I went. There are lots of trails that take us through the neighborhood. It's really a choose your own path kind of hike. And as we were walking through one of our neighborhoods, a man walked in front of us, and my jaw dropped. And she has sent me a photograph of a man walking in front of her with a Pan Am hoodie. And she said, it's amazing. I was crushed after my dad died, but she spent some time reading a book about the signs you can see and then started asking for them. That's just such an amazing story that we can ask for signs. And I do encourage people to ask for specific signs and not trying to make it fit. Somebody asked in the questions about how do you know who is giving the signs? You will know by the sign. This one's from Donna. Now, Donna said the first was my pop when he was alive. He was known for giving the kids brownies, which is 1 and 2 pence coins, if you don't know what they are. My mum used to warn us about that. Pop will give you brownies and just say thank you every time you go and see him. After he died, there was a whole load of family turmoil. And in the end, my dad and I had to give a reading for his funeral. Public speaking is not his favourite thing. All went well. And after I got home, I was standing, heating my bum by the fire, as you do, and a 2p coin came over my shoulder and dropped on the floor and rolled around. And that was her pop saying hello. And the second one was from the same pop. A while after he died, I had a very specific dream where he was being wheeled out of a hospital on a bed into an ambulance. He stopped the doctors and shouted at them, Donna, tell your mum I'm fine. I'm not finished and I'll be back soon. That's lovely. See, more messages that we get. And sometimes we do get the messages in our dreams. Understand that you may not understand what the message is. You may not understand what they're trying to tell you. But if it feels vivid, if it feels like they were really there, and that's them visiting you, the messages sometimes make sense further down the line. You'll make sense of it. You will remember it when something specific happens. But don't try not to get caught up in those details. Elaine has emailed. Now, these emails are from quite a long way away, and I want to apologise that I did ask for some, and I am now only just getting a chance to share them. My Aunt Marie, pronounced Mary, who was also my godmother, passed away as a result of a car accident in 2005. She was hilarious and wildly inappropriate a lot of the time. She sounds like my kind of girl. She used to joke about how much she hated birds and that she would like to suck them up with a hoover. I had to read that twice, Elaine. I'm just letting you know. On the night she died, we came home from the hospital, numb and in shock at about 1:30 a.m. It was still cold, winter night, but in the trees across from our house was a little bird singing its heart out. We all felt it was her having a laugh at us and letting us know that she was with us. And it makes me smile even today. Thank you, Elaine. I really appreciate that email. Remember, if you don't know about Patreon, it is the platform that allows me a lot more freedom. I will upload videos. There are some teachings. There's a lot of discounts for my courses and my readings available depending on your tier level. I do try and upload some free content when I get the time, but it is a great platform. We have the chats, which I was in even this morning. And we have our monthly coffee morning, which is on the 18th Australian time. I've done it at 8 a.m. Australian time so that there is a hope that we get a few more from Europe. I know it's really hard to have those coffee mornings sometimes when I'm trying to service so many different time zones, but I'm hoping that we will get some more UK and Europe members that can join us. So that's at 8 o'clock on the 18th. But we also have the besties group that we get together. The Metaphysical Mavens have your first Mavens Run group, which is peer support, happening this week. And then I have a group that this month we are going to be concentrating on booking systems for those that are starting their metaphysical practices. I'm going to be talking about booking systems to help you. So pop along, have a look at Patreon. Remember, there's lots of content. No matter when you join, you will have access to all the back catalogue of content. I have, in all honesty, if you know what sort of week I had last week, and then I hit the floor with a 3-day migraine last week as well, I haven't had a chance to put the newsletter together. I've done a lot of writing, and I did make an announcement last week that the newsletter would cover April and May. So you will get that in the next week or so once I get it all off to the editor and graphic designer. All right, so thank you to my new Patreon supporters. Ever Hopeful has joined for 12 months. Melissa Story has joined for 12 months. Jim Mintz has joined. Alyssa Marino has joined. Mrs. V 2010. Megan. April has joined for 12 months. Yasmin has joined for 12 months. Rachie has joined. Gracie has joined for 12 months. Maggie. Lisa Henry. Bibi. Jenna Steinel, Leo has joined. Julie Butler. Ash has joined for 12 months. Jennifer. Marie has joined for 12 months. Dana has joined. Valerie. Asha. Jessica. Jenny. Stephanie. Daphne has joined for 12 months. Caroline has joined. Eddie. Lisa. April. Mary. Kelly. Chrissy. Lacia. Maria. Lindsay has joined for 12 months. Lauren. PJ, Shindani, and Emily Andres have joined. Thank you, guys. Remember, you guys support this podcast. Without you, there is no me. It is really important that you know that and how important you are to me. There is lots of content. Please have a look at the collections with all the past Q&As, all the past podcast episodes that I have put in there for you. There are Patreon-only podcasts that no one else gets. My 2025 predictions are now up for all paid members. I will be, whilst I'm working away, be working on the new predictions for the later part of the year. All right. Now, I have some more stories that I want to tell you, but just to give you a little bit of an indication of what you can, if you really look for it and know that your loved ones are giving you messages. We do have all of the basic ones. It can be cardinals, it can be the butterflies, the birds, the bees, whatever your loved one and you discussed is specific to you. Julie has a lovely story here. My brother-in-law died in a shocking accident at 18 years old, and I did not cope very well. I was only 21 myself. For 30 nights, I cried myself to sleep. whilst repeating the words that became a bit of a mantra for me. Please, Troy, let me know you're okay. Please give me anything. Every single night was the same. These words would put me to sleep. And one night I remember thinking, it's been about a month and nothing. But I still repeated it when all of a sudden I felt the atmosphere change in my room, and I knew if I opened my eyes, he would be there. I absolutely shit myself and quickly said, no, no, please go away. All the next day I was kicking myself. However, that night I did not repeat the mantra and just fell asleep. In my dream that night, Troy was sitting on the trunk at the end of my bed laughing at me, and he said, I had to come this way because you got so frightened last night. I want you to know that I'm all good and I'm watching over the kids and talking to them. I woke knowing that there is a life after death. And whilst I think about him often and have had other people pass, I will never need to repeat that process. And that is a beautiful story, Julie. Thank you for sharing. As I've said, our loved ones who are in spirit really want you to start paying attention, to know that they are giving you the signs. The strength that can come from these signs, and for me especially, when people assume that I have a two-way conversation going on with my mum or my friends. I lost my two best friends. One when I was in my 20s, well, I was 21, and one when I was in my 40s. And my best friend who passed away when I was in my 40s, she was a designer and lived in Italy for much of her life and worked for some of the greats. Calvin Klein travelled specifically for her funeral, and I had a couple of pieces of her design, some sunglasses. She worked for a designer called Max Mara. And every time, she was a knitwear specialist and an eyeglass specialist. And every time I'm in a charity shop, and I can guarantee without a doubt, I will find one of her designs. It will be a jumper that's on the rack or something like that. And I just say, thanks, Tonia. Thank you. Lots of little things, like finding a jigsaw puzzle that is specific to where you grew up on the other side of the world. It can be in street names. It can be in the music that comes on the radio. My mum sent me signs through her name being repeated. And that's not the first time I've had communication from her, though. One thing I will always remember is about a week after Tonia passed. I hadn't known how ill she was, and she was on my mind, but she was a terror for responding to emails or text messages. And I reached out to her brother on social media and said, hey, haven't heard from Tonia for a while. I want to check she's okay. And he let me know that she had passed the previous week. I went for a walk to try and make myself feel a bit better. And I was walking through the centre of Melbourne where I used to live. And we had spent many a summer driving around the UK and Europe in her bright yellow Bug, the old Volkswagen Beetle. And one parked right in front of me. And it caught my attention because there was music screaming out of it. And I turned and I saw this guy try and reverse park. And I was laughing a little bit because I'm always really bad at reverse parking. Now I have a camera, it's easier. But, I've got one eye. I've got no depth perception. What can I tell you? And the number plate was Tony, spelled Tony. I know her name was Tonya, but it was Tony, and I knew that was her nod. So it can be in those number plates, it can be in book titles, it can be in their favourite book, their favourite music. I've told the story of having a loved one show up before a reading. As I've said before, I don't have them lined up in my office because they are here with you, for you. They're not here for me, they're here for you. But on one occasion, I woke up singing a song, and I feel like I can't say the song because I'm going to out a client, and they are a Patreon. And I know you listen to my podcast because you tell me I call you out all the time. So you know the song I'm talking about, a very, very famous pop song. And I woke up with it in my head. It's from the 1960s, early 70s. And it was just going around and around in my head. And I thought it had been sung by an actress that was a singer, Shirley Temple. I thought it was a Shirley Temple song. I don't know why. I couldn't place who this song was by, but it was going around and around in my head. And my first client that day, I've picked up the phone. I've gone, "Hi, how are you? Does this song mean anything to you?" And she said, "Yeah, that was my mum. That was her song. She was number one with that song." That's how they get the messages through. So listen to when a song comes in. If you wake up with a song in the morning and it's relevant to your loved one, if it's one of their favourite songs, if you walk into a shop and you hear a song, it's about paying attention. It's about lifting up your energy to receive and getting out of your head a little bit. I hope those stories have helped. I do feel like many people do expect the tap dancing in front of them. But you and I are just the same. We've lost people, and we want to know there is a continuation of consciousness. I have just fine-tuned my ability to do that. And it takes patience and it takes awareness. You guys can do that too. So it's been a busy week. It's been a busy week. We have had the Australian election. During my 2025 predictions, which are available to paid Patreon members over on the app, I said that I didn't see Albanese and I couldn't see Dutton leading the party. I am not shocked that Albanese won. This is why we have to get out of our own way when we make predictions, because unlike the US election, which everyone accused me of bias, I didn't give a hoot who was going to lead. I did say that I was concerned that Dutton would lead. In the 2025 predictions, I didn't feel either of them were going to lead. I'm sticking by that. I do feel there are going to be some maybe snap elections either towards the end of this year or early next year. Albanese is not going to continue to lead the Labor Party as we go through this year. Glad to be wrong. I felt that there would be a coalition or it would be too close to call. Strangely enough, however, my wording in my TikTok was a hung parliament. I was very guided to put that, and I do feel it was there for a reason. And it could have been get your asses out to vote. I don't know. I take responsibility for being wrong. But the strange thing that has happened in my constituency, Labor and the Nationals are neck and neck. There's like a 0.1 or 0.2% in the leadership of it. So I found that bizarre because I felt that the Nationals, the Teals, would have to form a coalition. Don't know what that's about. But, however, glad that the Labor Party are continuing to lead. I would like to see more leadership from them. If you are in Australia, you know that we have a shit show of a housing crisis here, as well as many other things. Let's hope this 3 years they actually do something. Dutton is out. That came true. But I am glad that my coalition, my fearing that Dutton or Albanese may have to form a minority government, didn't happen. And I is pleased. Always happy to be wrong. Always, always happy to be wrong, especially when it comes to things like natural disasters and things that I do see. You know, people want to point out that I could be wrong or the timing could be wrong, etc. I'm basking in it. If I see mass destruction happening and the images aren't very nice and it doesn't happen when I say it's going to happen, I am basking in the joy of that. However, my predictions, sadly, are pretty spot on at the moment. The ongoing outages with electricity that I predicted at the beginning of the year is certainly happening. Bali was without power yesterday. The whole of Bali, parts of the UK have been without power. As I said, the heat, which has been hit this weekend, would bring power outages to the UK. We saw Spain and Portugal, or parts of Spain and Portugal, without power. Okay, it is not going to be all at once. If you are in the US, you have more than one grid. I do like to repeat that. I get asked some questions sometimes on social media, and I so want to say, do you know what? We could do a critical thinking course. People need to learn how to critical think. Those that want to learn will learn, those that don't. However, somebody asked me, and they asked me after I'd had my champagne last night. So if I communicated with anybody yesterday evening, I apologise. I answered a question on TikTok. This is why I don't have any friends. They asked me to talk about fairy rings, and my response was, I am a medium, not a fiction writer. They told me it wasn't very nice. Can't think why. But those, sadly, are going to continue. It is not going to be a fix for anything. I do think the UK is still going to expect outages as we go through June, July, August. It will be heat related. I'm really hoping that it's an overflow or having to use extra power because people are using fans. But part of my prediction was rationing of electricity during times of heat. I do feel that's going to hit Europe this year. What else has happened? Oh, we had the Pope's funeral. Thank goodness nothing major happened there, because I was concerned about Trump being in a public place. Many of you are going to say that I shouldn't have been concerned, but I was concerned about a terrorist attack, and I didn't necessarily make it public. I talked about it with a few people, and I was concerned not so much for him, but for those surrounding him. And I am concerned that it is still a possibility that there could be an attack where he is in a public place that is terrorism based. As I said, not worried for him, but I'm worried about the downfall of it. I have talked already about the end of May being a form of water event. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a repeat of the Boxing Day tsunami, but I do feel like there are tsunami events in Indonesia and Thailand. They could, when I see water, I see a lot of water. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a ginormous tsunami. It could be a cyclone. It could be a flash flooding that could cause infrastructure issues and damage. So I want you to be aware of that. I also feel that Hexeth is going to go. I made this prediction some weeks ago. before the second signal gate. I do think he's on the outer or on his way out. There is also going to be things happening within Trump's, do you call it a cabinet there? His secretaries or whatever they are. I feel like there's a shuffle, a sideways shuffle. Somebody referred to it as a priest shuffle, but it is a sideways shuffle where a few people have to leave their jobs. And I have spoken about this as well on my Patreon, that I feel that Pam Bondi, not now, but in years to come, is looking at an arrest, being indicted. She's in big trouble over something. And again, I do believe that Trump is going to suffer an illness, a collapse. He may need an operation of some sort before we get to the end of June. I think that's about it for now. May is going to be relatively quiet until we get to the last week. For some reason, I keep being repeated the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th of May as being significant within the world. And I do believe it is seismic activity. When I get more information on that, how it comes, I don't know. But I do feel like it's more, it could be what's setting off those water events in Thailand, Indonesia area. They're very hard to discern in my mind's eye because I don't have a lot of memory of that area or a lot of information of that area. But the more I get, the more I will let you know. All right. Well, that's about it for now. I am off on my hollybobs tomorrow. There will be an episode next week. I am recording this. I'm going to edit it, record it in Victoria. It will be edited in Queensland. How about that? Should be in Hawaii, but can't be choosy. At least I'm getting a holiday. Remember, there are some courses that I have up at the moment. The 30th of June, there is Are You Listening? How to Pay Attention to Your Guides and Lean into Your Intuition. That course starts on the 30th of June. There are significant discounts to Patreon members. The link will be in my bio. How to Raise Your Vibration and Live a Magnetic Life is in the first week of July. That again is discounted. My July dates are available, including I've been able to release 3 group or family group readings. I don't release many every month because they are very taxing, but there are 3 available for July. Hop on those quick if you want them. They are for 2, 3, 4, or 5 people in the same family group to attend a reading. You don't have to be in the same place. You will just all be sent a Zoom link. And my general readings are available for July also. So that's about it, my loves. It has been a total pleasure as always. I do hope that you learn to pay attention to the signs from your loved ones. I love getting your stories about how you've seen things, how things have been put in front of you, whether it is pennies or whether it is being drawn to suddenly finding their journal in the back of a cupboard or pressing a button and hearing their voice. There are so many examples. And the more you pay attention, the more you will see that your love and their love is always there, and they are always there for you.